Retro gaming addiction, sobriety, and everything that involved with that has really taken a toll on me personally. And I just want to start this video out by thanking all of you guys for supporting me through these years doing this YouTube channel, and also just kind of being on or it's hard to put some of this stuff into words, and I'm sure some of you will understand that, but I never knew the right words sometimes to talk about this kind of stuff. So a lot of times when I do these videos, I just do it without a script. I just do it as honest and raw as I can. And a lot of you know that about 10 years ago I was in a really dark place. I was addicted to drugs. I was addicted to alcohol. I was living basically by myself. Yeah, barely living is what you can say. I didn't have a job and everything, and then I finally got in trouble with the law, and I went to rehab. And then after I got outside of there, I started going to AA and stuff like that, and started sobering up. And a lot of the other people that have followed this channel know that recently on September that I got a sober tattoo. But on top of that, I've also celebrated 10 years of sobriety. So it's been 10 years, no alcohol, no drugs, no cigarettes. I quit it all, guys. But you can take the addiction away from the addict, but you can't take the mental part out of an addict. I mean, we can try everything you want, and it just goes down to the mental disorder that comes along with it. So, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about retro gaming and stuff in this conversation, guys, but this is mostly just about a history in me and what this 10 years of sobriety has done for me. And, we talk about in these videos all the time, too, that if you guys are suffering with addiction, with anything like that, always ask for help, guys. Number one cause for addicts to, result to suicide, to result to, like I said, the worst things possible is because they're too afraid to ask for help. They're too afraid to be judged, and they're too afraid that, basically they're just too afraid. So if you are suffering, please make sure that you reach out to people and talk to them about your problems. That being said, like I said, I was in a very dark place, and when I finally sobered up, I had to find something to fill the void that my focus was on when it was coming with drugs. Now, I've talked in the past about, I can't quite expand on what exactly it was that caused me to be an addict and stuff in the first place, but I knew that growing up, a lot of what I had was childhood PTSD. My parents were both alcoholics, and at times, it was probably neglect. It was probably not enough attention and stuff like that I kind of branched off on my own. And also, it's just the normal stuff, being influenced by childhood friends that were kind of in the same boat. So, not only was it, I'm not saying it was all everybody else's problem. A lot of the stuff it came down to was me too, and I'm just kind of discussing what led me up to it. So, I've always had an issue with being shy. And I know that one of the first things that I loved about, alcohol and drugs was it loosened me up. It allowed me to be more verbal and be able to talk to people. And there was just something with that really opened the doors for me, I would say. And then at some point too, I started doing it in other stuff, playing video games, playing sports, playing, doing just stuff. And then it just became day to day that you almost had to do it just to feel normal. And I think that's when it finally started being more like an addiction to me than just being fun now. And so when I sobered up, obviously I had to find something to fill that void. Now, two of the major things that we talked about in the past was for a while there, my addiction to the gym. I was spending hours at the gym. I was going every day. I was barely resting. If I wasn't working, I was at the gym, and likewise. And then after about 2 years of sobriety, I met my wife, my girlfriend, now wife. And then, I became a father. I had, she had 2 boys before we met, so I became a stepfather shortly after that. I became a biological father, and I just kind of kept moving forward. After a few years, I stopped going to meetings. I kind of just focused on my family and just, kept going on with stuff. And it wasn't, it was a few years later that I finally kind of got the bug, the retro gaming addiction bug. And I talked about this, the neglect and wanting the attention growing up. And we didn't have much money when I was young, so I never had very many video games and stuff like that. But all my friends, they had tons of games. They had all the consoles. They had all the cool stuff, but I didn't really have that much growing up. So when I got a good paying job, making, I can't remember exactly how much I make a year, but it allows us to be comfortable. And that was one of the things that I wanted to start doing, was buying games that I didn't have as a kid, that I was jealous of my other friends having. And people don't understand that, all these games and stuff I have now, a lot of people were surprised that when I didn't even have a Super Nintendo growing up. I had a Nintendo, I had a Sega, and then I went right to PlayStation. And it's crazy because a lot of people are like, you didn't have a Super Nintendo and you're, a gamer and stuff like that. No, we didn't have the money. Sega was always cheaper. The Genesis came out before the NES, the Super Nintendo. So the Genesis was super cheap and the games were super cheap, so that's what I got growing up. And all my friends had a Super Nintendo, and it was frustrating growing up. So 20 years later, after, the NES comes out and stuff like that, I finally get one and I played the hell out of it. I love the Super Nintendo, but that was kind of what pushed my retro gaming addiction, was not only the YouTube aspect of it. I was watching all these YouTubers, Game Hunt, like Pixel Game Squad and stuff like that, and I thought that was really cool that they were able to go do all this stuff and collect all these games. And we all have our vices, and at the time that was something I thought was a healthy vice, was basically investing in my future. I mean, someday this retro collection could be worth a lot of money, it could be not, and stuff like that. But I was having fun doing it. But the problem was that at some point it was the same with the other kinds of addictions, drugs and alcohol, was it didn't become fun anymore. It became like I had to do it. Like if I hadn't got a good game pickup in a while, I was literally buying crap just because I needed stuff to pick up. I felt the dopamine rush. I felt the serotonin. I felt the incredible feeling of, oh man, I'm going to pick up some games, and when I get home, I can film a YouTube video on it, and I can show everybody all the stuff I picked up, and la. And, it wasn't until a few months ago that we started doing these videos and talking about this stuff. Because my wife had warned me, and some of my other friends have, kind of warned me too. They're like, you're picking up a lot of games, Zach. Are you even playing them? And I was like, no, not really. I said, but I'm having fun doing it. And they're like, well, I guess that's all that matters. But I could see it sometimes. My wife was just kind of gave me that, not really disappointed look, but she kind of gave me that, are you sure you should be doing this kind of thing? Or why did you pick that up? I mean, and stuff like that, in which at the time, I'd get angry about, but it really wasn't, she was right. I mean, most like 99% of the time she's right, but it was like, I didn't really need half this crap. When I did my purge a couple months ago, you'd be surprised how many boxes of stuff I got rid of, and it was hard to get, and it was hard to do at first, but once I started picking and choosing, it became a lot easier, guys. Now, I don't want people to confuse these videos with me, trying to tell you that you have an addiction, that you should sell your collection, that you're a hoarder, and stuff like that, because I've had some people kind of say that that's how I made them feel, but it's not what I'm going for here, guys. A lot of this is just personal experience. This is personal things that I've personally gone through, but for the most part, if the thought starts coming to mind and you start worrying about that, maybe you do have a problem. But I am not a licensed therapist. I am not a doctor or nothing like that. So like I said, I can't give you guys complete advice. I can just give you tips. And if you actually do have a problem, you need to figure that out yourself and go from there. But once I finally purged and got rid of a lot of stuff, everything was left off my shoulders. I felt a lot better. I still have a bunch of stuff I probably need to get rid of, but I've kind of taken a break from that. But the biggest thing that I took a break from was buying games and searching for them. Now, granted, I did just buy Baldur's Gate 3, but this was the first game in months that I bought. And I bought this because I actually wanted to play it. Because that's been a new rule of mine, is actually buying games that I'm going to play. Not buying to put on the shelf. Not buying to look cool in here. Not buying for videos. Not buying to, what do I want to say, for bragging rights. You know, to just compete with people on YouTube. I bought a game that I wanted to play, and I freaking love it. So that's been the big thing, guys. Now, we talked about what stayed in the collection. We talked about why I held on to what I held on to. And the whole experience has been, I basically been holding on to stuff that means something to me, whether it be some kind of story connected through my childhood, story connected with my friends, or just in general something that's really held on. So like I said, Baldur's Gate 3 was one that I wanted to get because I was a big Dungeons & Dragons fan growing up. I've been a big D&D fan throughout the years, and I've always just been really heavily into fantasy. I really love that kind of stuff because, like I said, growing up we didn't have much, so the whole nerd aspect of a lot of fantasy stuff, whether it be sci-fi, medieval, wizardry, magical, everything like that, I really love that stuff because it got me out of how much of a struggle we were in sometimes and made me, you know, focus on just dreaming of stuff and just putting my thoughts in something else. And a lot of people are going to watch this video, and if they made it up to this point, they're going to be like, what the heck was this guy even talking about? And that's kind of that's what I think about sometimes. That's why I love these videos, guys. I just get on here and I just start talking about stuff, and I just start ranting about stuff, and if you guys make it this far, that's awesome. I mean, God knows, you know, sometimes I just don't, I love doing these videos, and it's just amazing to always see people commenting on, you know, what I say on here and how it helps them or how they have dealt with the same issue. Alright, but going back. So when I noticed I had a problem with addiction a few months ago, I worked on correcting that. And a lot of that was purging a bunch of what I had. And then with the money, not just buying a bunch of crap to refill. Because I've dealt with that in the past where I purged a bunch of NES games. But then I used all that money just to buy more games that I wasn't going to play. And I sold a lot of those games that I didn't play. And then I bought more games with that I still didn't play. And it was like an endless loop that was going on. But we've been, you know, focusing. I think, like I said, Baldur's Gate was the first game that I bought since that big purge. And then I think next month I'm hoping to buy Spider-Man 2. And then I should be good for the year. I think, you know, fingers crossed. But it's just been fun, guys. Like I said, this was a big thing that I loved to do when I went and got a tattoo, was to celebrate 10 years sober. I decided to get a tattoo to reflect that. And when I asked about, you know, why would you do that? It's because I want people to know that, you know, you're not alone out there. I've already had one or two people comment on this. They're like, why do you have sober tattoo? And I tell them the issues. And they either talk about their past experience with addiction, or they have a family member or somebody that they know that is currently or has been addicted. And having those conversations with people and, you know, just a connection with people about this kind of thing is good to have. It's just funny because it just pops in my head that, you know, somebody was telling me the one day that sometimes they like to watch these videos when I talk about this stuff because it's very therapeutic. It was very, like, you know, calming and relaxing, and just discussing mental health is a good thing, guys. Especially for men. Ladies seem to have a better understanding of their emotions and their feelings and stuff like that. And a lot of men and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, you know, ladies are better, and I'm not saying men are better. You know, it's all equal. But it's just a lot of times guys are raised to not be a wussy, raised to not be a pussy, raised to not be weak, to push all these feelings downwards. And, you know, it's just not good to do that, guys. That's why I'm always open on Instagram or whatever. If you guys need to DM me to talk about your feelings, to talk about addiction, talk about past experiences and stuff like that that's bothering you, feel free to reach out, guys, because I'm always here to talk to you guys about this stuff. And if I don't have any advice for you, I'm here to just listen too. So that's what I wanted to basically talk to you guys today about, was just how basically it's been good to celebrate 10 years sober. It hasn't been easy. I've hit a lot of struggles along the way, but through the grace of God and also, my family and stuff like that, I've been able to maintain my sobriety while also being a good father, being a good husband, being a good man in general, being a good person in my community, and also supporting the people that need it. And it just feels good, guys. Honestly, it feels amazing. And I never want, I talked about this before, that my worst day sober is still better than my best day high. And some people won't ever understand that. But, one is not enough and one is too many, is when it comes to that stuff. So I'd like to end this video with just thanking everybody for supporting me over the years, specifically not just on YouTube, but some of my friends and stuff that actually watch the channel, and some of my family members that do. Mostly just my wife and kids sometimes watch my videos, but thank you all for your support and understanding and just general encouragement. There's a lot of days where I struggle with wanting to do content. I struggle with wanting to get up, but I try to remember that what I am doing, who is why am I doing stuff, and who is watching me. And I always remember that I want to improve on my life. I want to improve other people's lives. And gosh dang, guys, if that's not what we're here to do, then what are we here for? So with that, I will leave you guys. Sorry for this 20-minute or so rant or open mic night with just discussing feelings and talking about sobriety and addiction and mental health. But I'm glad I have what do I want to say? I'm glad I have, I can't think of the right word. I'm glad I have a source that I could do this on and have great friends and stuff that will talk or will listen to me, discuss stuff with me, and improve both of our lives. So I'll go ahead and leave you guys on that. I've been talking long enough, but thank you all for your support. And as always, stay retro, my friends, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.